It's the Harv and Jace show.
Ask me about my fried bread. Ask me about my fried bread. Ask me about my fried bread. All you aunties. I used to tell my uncles, we would ask him, like, come on, uncle, don't you want to be in shape? And he'd be like, what, pears of shape? He said,
Potatoes are shaped.
let's go out to the lobby. We had an uncle sighting. Did you see that?
I heard. I didn't see, but I heard.
He's like what we were saying. He's like
He's
Pokeroo.
like the pokeroo, yeah. On my way here, I seen the cops had somebody pulled over, so figured Uncle was here.
I hope he has an insurance up to date. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's got that temporary sticker.
That one's the best.
Yeah.
You can just keep saying it.
Good for 10
I
days.
got the meeting coming up. I got it coming up. So cool. It's so nice that you guys are joining us. Welcome to the Harv and Jace show.
Yes.
There's Harv.
There's Jace.
I'm doing it. You're doing it.
And we're doing it.
And it looking good too.
Yes.
For our age.
Yeah. We're still up there.
We're still young bucks.
Yes.
They said the way to feel young all the time is to just hang around with people older than you, and that's it.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah,
If
just
you're
keep-
70,
Just keep leveling up.
yeah, go hang out with some 80-year-olds and you'll feel young and spry.
Right. Yeah.
Oh man, this is really cool. What a day. What a night. We got a cool guest tonight, dude.
Yes. Some local talent.
Yep, a local celebrity.
Yes.
Even because she is making waves. We've been hearing about her like crazy, and she's a great friend of ours.
Yes.
Miss
Jessie Anthony.
Hello, Jessie.
Sego.
Hey, Sego.
Thank you so much
Thanks for having me.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I'm so excited to talk to you. I mean, there's so many things that we even just to catch up, eh?
I was going to say, yeah, we definitely have fun to catch up on.
You're from Six Nations. You grew up Six Nations here. You're the Onondaga and Bear Clan, right? Amazing.
No, Beaver.
Oh, Beaver. And you're Bear.
I'm Bear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so there we go. I had to get that right.
Yeah.
How you been?
Pretty busy.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, it's been pretty busy. I miss home like crazy, but living in COVID times.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty good. How about you guys?
Pretty good with the circumstances. Same around here, you know.
Yeah, I'm in Vancouver, and it's spring. It's like the first day of
Oh, I
spring.
love
It's so
that.
nice.
Oh my goodness.
Lucky you.
Yeah, lucky you. Enjoy that.
How long have you been living out there?
Going on my 9th year already.
Awesome.
Wow. So you're pretty much a resident now.
Yeah.
That's
When's
awesome.
the last time you made your way back around here to visit or hang out?
Actually, I was home in September. I was able to come home in September, and I spent a couple of weeks with my family. But before that, it was a year before I came home.
Wow.
Well, you're busy. Then that's what happens. Like, I'm a musician too, so I'm on the road, so I know exactly what you mean. To sacrifice that family time, I guess, for what you're trying to do, and what you're trying to do is be a trailblazer, right? Like, there's not too many Indigenous artists that you think of, right?
Right, yeah, especially in your field.
Yeah, who are producing, directing, writing, and that's a huge undertaking for anybody. So we're so excited to have you on here, and we'll get to that. We'll talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
But I want to talk a little bit about you and growing up on Six Nations. I want to try to get like what you felt as an Indigenous woman growing up on Six Nations, and where it all began for you.
Where'd you get some inspiration from?
Yeah.
Well, I grew up on First Line, so right across from New Credit. So I always would on the road, in the middle of the road, put one foot on one side and one foot on the other, and be like, I'm in two reses at the same time. And people would always say we're New Credit, and I'd have to correct them. But I would say, yeah, my family, my community was like the inspiration behind everything I wanted to do. My grandma Erna, being a paraplegic her whole life and being an artist, she just inspired me every day to, keep pushing for my dreams, and that anything was possible. So a lot of inspiration from community, especially growing up and going to school. And I remember the first time I was doing like a theater thing outside of school, which was Sinkyo way back in the day.
Yeah.
And that really gave me a sense of, it gave me a different family, a different community. And yeah, just through high school. But growing up on Six, I mean, I wouldn't change it for the world. It's who I am. It's all in my being. Everything I do, like all my teachings, like I implement that into my work. That's how I run my business, is by taking what I've learned and was instilled with from growing up in Six, and I put that towards the work. So it's me. It's not even a part of me. It is me.
That's Jace.
I love that that you mentioned Synkio, because that's Six Nations Community Youth Outreach, and that's where I got to meet you first. We did a lot of work together, and this was going back. Now we don't really want to age ourselves here, this is going way back,
a couple decades.
Yeah,
maybe.
this is decades, and even Ev, our switchman tonight, Ev Jacobs on the board there. He was back there, and that we did a lot of great things. And one of the things was the One Voice, Many Stories, which was pretty popular. Do you remember that play?
I sure do. Yeah, that went around. That was a big accomplishment, I think, for all of us that were involved.
Right. I mean, we even performed it for the World Youth Day. We got to do it for 2 weeks. We did it every night to sold out audiences at Woodland Cultural Center.
And the chief, the big guy, the Kunkam.
It was. Yep. Came to actually see the performance. What I loved about it is that we all got to sit with residential survivors, right, and hear their stories as youth and young people. And the ones that kind of stuck with us is the ones we all wrote about, because we were all writing our own little skits and stuff, right?
Yeah. Do you remember we did this summer workshop in the basement of the mushroom?
Oh,
that whole summer we had to walk past the boiler room to get to the kitchen.
Yep.
That was a crazy summer. Yeah. I remember that.
The craziest one was when we were going to have lunch. I don't know if you remember, but we were walking down the hallway, and as soon as we got to go have lunch, remember we did it in the basement, the lunch in the kitchen area there. So we were coming down there, and there's no one in the building, and then all you can hear is all the chairs go, like kids were scared of a priest coming in.
Oh man, maybe that nun.
Yeah, nun thing. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that. I remember being scared.
Right.
I don't know if I was when that happened, but I remember you guys talking about it. I remember the stuff we would do that didn't, even though we were a theater group and we were working on that, we would do other activities together. And I remember going to that old house on Fifth Line there, right by IL. You remember that? Ashley was recording sound. And when we opened the door, it felt like people were looking at us entering the house.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a baby cry in the basement. I remember that clearly.
But nobody heard it when we were there, right? They heard it when you guys were checking out the videos after. Yeah, we were out ghost hunting just for kicks, right? We'd get so excited.
We need to find that footage.
I know. I don't know where it is now, man. So yeah, that's really cool. And what is it from Synkio? Because I know a lot of the artists from Synkio, like me, Ev, you, Phelan, everyone, they're doing something creative. And can you talk a little bit about where you went from Synkio and how it kind of helped you into that path?
Yeah, so it was a combination of high school and Synkio, because that's where I think you guys come to do a demonstration, and I got up and did some improv, and that's how I got involved. So with that, and realizing I could get paid for the summer to do that, to create, that really inspired me. I think I was 16. It inspired me to keep going through high school with theater. So in high school, my teacher really encouraged me that I could go to college. And so I went to college for performing arts. And then I kind of took a break for a bit. And then I went to the Center for Indigenous Theaters for a year. Did some summer stuff with the Center for Indigenous Theaters. Then I did the 1 year. And then after that, I took off to Vancouver to go to the Vancouver Film School for acting for film and television. And then they were really consistent about, make your own work as an actor. And so I inquired at the Capilano University Indigenous Independent Filmmaking Program, and I got in. And from there, I never thought I'd go to university, and 2, I never thought I'd have a 4.0 in something, but I knew, that's when I knew this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is it. So
Cam, can you bring that rattle?
That's your true calling.
That's rattle worthy.
Yeah.
We have a rattle on here that this is. Thank you, Cam. Thank you. That's amazing. That's amazing. I love the education, and I love, like you said, you weren't thinking about but college, but those kinds of things are what help get you to that position, right? Because it's for networking. You meet directors, you meet potential people that are going to be collaborating with you, and not only that, you get asked questions outside of your own box and your own thinking that makes you grow, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I was just going to go a little bit more with Synkio. I think having that experience the paid work part of it, like
Right.
that, and having fun and it not feeling like a job, right? And then traveling, doing the traveling theater thing we did with Digital Indian, like that, all of those things, because Synkyo and then Digital Indian, it just all kind of laid like it just was stepping stones all the way. So
It sounds like fate, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So that's really cool. Can you tell us a little bit about Capilano University? You were in the motion picture arts program, right?
yeah, so first I did the Indigenous Independent Filmmaking program for 2 years. It's a diploma program, and I just excelled really well in it. And I said yes to every opportunity. I got to work on an NBCU show called Girlfriend's Guide to Divorce, which was an internship. And that's when I realized I liked doing, I liked being an assistant director, an AD. So from there, I got another job as a second AD. And then after I finished this program, I went into my third year. So it kind of ladders over into the degree program. So I went into my third year with the motion picture arts program at CapU. And I pitched a story during that third year period, which I then got a grant from Telefilm Canada to write and to produce my first feature film. So I was still in university when I got that.
I am so excited to hear you talk about this stuff, because what it is like it's inspiring for young people, like to make space. Like it's we grew up on a reserve, and our culture, we don't really kick them out at 18. It's not really the plan, right?
Right.
Like and then for people, they always experience like a culture shock leaving the reserve, right? Like and coming from a home where everyone's protective and lay things out for you to go to where you're on your own and you have to make your own path, and you got to get your own butt up to get to those classes, and you got to do the studying. Like no one can do that for you. And I know that a lot of people, they find that very discouraging and hard, right, to overcome those kinds of
maybe
things.
the homesickness might get to some people and they wouldn't be able to go through with it, right?
Definitely. So did you find any of that stuff? And is there any kind of words that you could kind of like tell us that maybe would help somebody that's currently in school or thinking about going to school? Because I think that's important.
That is such a huge thing. And I think that's something I realized as I was going to school, is that Indigenous people are up against so much more. Like the system's not made for us, right? The system was set up for us to fail. And so be consistent. Don't let one thing bring you down. It's like you got to keep going and remember why you're doing it. And remember, like, I think for me, knowing that this was something my ancestors fought for me to do, knowing that I had all this I had all of this lineage behind me also was such a push forward. And I don't know, I'm pretty much put your mind to it and get it done kind of person. And that was instilled by my family and my community. So I just had to go. I just had to keep going. And when it would get hard, especially when we lose somebody in our community, when there was a lot of deaths, and I lost a lot of people close to me, and I had to use that as more of a reason to keep going and not a reason to stop me. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Sounds like you found your inspiration.
No, but that's what it is. Like we're standing on the shoulders of our ancestors. Like we hear that. It's not cliche. We can actually draw strength from that. And I think that's what you're saying there.
Right.
Being a first AD, now AD is an assistant director for people that don't know, are in the film industry.
For the jargon.
Yeah, but I found it really, really cool that you did you were the first AD on a film, The Edge of the Knife, which was the first film spoken in Haida Gwe language. Entirely, which made TIFF's annual top 10 list. Can you tell us a little bit about that? That's amazing.
That is awesome.
That experience changed my life. I spent 6 weeks. Yeah. I wish I had my rattle.
I know,
Told me that.
a great big one.
A rattle off.
We'll have a rattle off.
Yeah, I don't think I was first up for the job. There was a bunch of different people, but it required somebody who was willing to leave their community for a few weeks, live on an island, camping, all of these different things, and also respect and consider the community. And I say, I really strongly believe that movies will tell you what they need in order to be made. And so somehow I got hired on, and the producing team was amazing. And yeah, they flew me out to Haida Gwaii, and I got to meet the community. I was so green, so I was like, forgive me if I mess things up, but I just got the experience by being there. The craziest thing was taking the 15-minute boat, because it wasn't, I don't know if you guys have ever been to Haida Gwaii. It's a very small island, and we were on the tip, so Masset, and then you take a 15-minute boat ride over to the village of Yon.
Beautiful.
And there were still children's skulls exposed on the ground from smallpox from this community. And so like we did a whole blessing, and like the elders came over, and it was a really spiritual experience, along with the industry experience. And then you're with this community speaking their language for 6 weeks. So there are words that I will never forget, that I will use, especially when I'm in that community or when I'm speaking to somebody from that community. So, and then to see it on the big screen and to go all over the world, it was really cool.
That sounds amazing.
Really cool.
So that was a big precursor, I guess, to the big movie that everyone's talking about right now.
Yeah, Brother I Cry.
Brother I Cry, which is what I wanted to talk to you about. And we're so excited for everything that's going on. But can you tell us a little bit of Brother I Cry? Because you're a writer. You wrote it, right?
I did, yeah.
And produced it. Tell us a bit about that process, because I know you did, you had to do so much legwork. It's not like you raised the budget really easily or got funding really easily. Can you tell us a little bit about that process?
Yeah, well, that process is definitely collaborative. I needed a team that supported me, that was invested in the story just as much as I was. So I did. I got some really great support. Some people were attached to the project but had to do other things, and so they were supportive in other ways. It's almost like it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to make a movie. It's the same idea. And I did have a producer that was able to do a lot of the things when I was just directing. But yeah, I wrote this story. It's based off a dream that I had about my brother overdosing.
Right.
And I just wanted to tell a story that put you inside of an everyday kind of situation that we all go through, that we all, these characters are so familiar and similar. And I theoried the shit out of this. So we had a professor at CapU, and his name is Michael Toma, and he taught me world cinema and visual theory. And without that training, it helped me be a better director. So everything in there is, for a reason, and there's lots of symbols and all that kind of stuff. But for me, moving the camera, I use the camera as if the camera was the trauma. It's invasive.
Wow,
it's always there in the corner. It's watching this whole family. The family can't get away from it, right? So the way the camera moves is the camera is the trauma that we're carrying.
I would love to build on the dream that you talked about, because it does hit home to not only you, like you said, it touches every family. And your brother was struggling with addiction at the time that inspired this story, right?
Yeah, well, and that dream inspired it. My brother inspired it, but all of the scenes, all the characters, everything is pieces of my own experience of, having a partner that was addicted to drugs and just everything that, I witnessed or went through. So a lot of those moments are, inspired by him, but are from my own experience. And I knew that I wasn't the only family. Like, that was the biggest thing, was I'm making it very much for my brother to watch, because no matter what I do, I can't save him. But what I can do is show him how I feel.
Right.
And so that's what I use this medium as. And I hope that it would open up a dialogue, and that it would help other people realize that they're not alone in this situation, and that we need to talk about it, and we need to support each other.
I love that. Brother I Cry follows two siblings, Ava and John, struggling through intergenerational trauma. And it won a BC Best Emerging Filmmaker Award. Congratulations.
Congrats.
That is huge, man.
Yeah.
How was that when you got the call? How'd you find that out? And how'd it feel?
You know what they did? They emailed me like 5 days before they announced the actual award, and I couldn't tell anybody. So I was sitting there like,
oh my
God, what am I do? And then and they made me do the thank you speech and everything prior. So it was hard to contain, but I cried. When I was able to announce it, I called my mom. Thank you. I cried. I called my mom, and for about a half hour, and I just said, I just remember being a little res girl, wanting to make movies and be on TV, but I didn't know what that meant. And then to be acknowledged by by BC, by VIF, by the Vancouver International Film Festival,
Right.
as an emerging, best emerging filmmaker. I thought it's a very
That's
pivotal
huge.
moment in my career, right? So,
And not just
it
your
was such a-
career, Indigenous people,
Right.
you know,
You're
like that's a
setting-
win.
Now
That's,
you're
Yeah.
setting standards.
that's a win for us all.
Yeah.
what was really awesome about it is the person who won it before me
Right.
Was Alamaya Tailfeathers for the Body Remembers win. So it was really nice to see you got
Amazing.
2 Indigenous women winning this
Awesome.
award, right?
On the rise,
Yeah.
man. That's
Yeah.
what that means.
Yeah.
People are recognizing that finally we knew for all these years of how talented Indigenous people are, even coming from Six Nations. We have so much talent here. Like, it's so nice that we're starting to see people come
The
out of it.
recognition finally is coming through. Yeah.
It's really cool. Do you have any plans? Like, what's your plans now? Knowing all this cool stuff, what's the next step for you?
Well, Brother I Cry is still in festivals. So we just got into we're going to be in Australia at the end of the
Oh,
month.
wow.
And then there's another one I can't announce yet, but we just
cool.
got into that. And we're up for a Vancouver Film Critics Circle Award for Best BC Film, One to Watch,
Wow.
and Best Male Actor.
Right
So
on.
yeah, it's
Good luck with that.
really proud of it. Oh yeah, and at Imaginative we got audience choice, and that was, I think, because the community, everybody got
ace.
to vote, right?
That's huge.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
When the people are
they
voting,
sent
no,
me an
that's even-
email. Imaginative sent me an email, and they were like, "No surprise here, but you won the audience choice award." I was like, "Yay!"
Ace.
That's
So I just
amazing.
want to say thank you, Six Nation, for that. Yeah, that was a highlight. But as far as my career, so I have a production company called Pass Through Productions, and I just got like 5 things greenlit for development.
Amazing.
We got 2 television series greenlit from Bell Media. I got a feature film comedy greenlit by another funder that I can't announce yet. And then I have a not the horror film. I have an auto biopic that I'm working on that I
Nice.
still have to secure the rights for, but we definitely have the green light, some funding for that. And I just got hired on to direct my first horror film.
Wow.
And I'm writing a horror film. So
Awesome.
so I have 2 horror films that are on the
Isn't
on
that
deck.
isn't that amazing how once you get consumed with it, you work so hard to be a part of something that you love to do, but then once it goes off, you're just so developed in it, and so many projects like that.
Yeah.
It could be overwhelming if you weren't so passionate about what you do, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing, is the stages of it. So, all of those things are in development, but the 2 projects that I have out right now, we have a LGBTQ Indigenous queer web series that's going to be on Lumi come
Fantastic.
June. So
Awesome.
I just strictly produced that one. So super proud of that. We made a lot of room and a lot of space, and that's what we pitched for diverse voices. And then for Black Lives Matter, we have a short film called El Color Negro, which is on the festival run right now, and it just won an award. So produced that one.
Amazing.
So it can feel like it is a lot, but they're in stages, so it keeps it so I don't get too overwhelmed. I'm like, okay, we're in post, we're in pre-production, we're in development, so it keeps a nice little conveyor belt going of projects. So
That's really good. Like downtime, like where do you find what do you get to do on downtime? Do you like enjoy a nice
Get
glass
any
of
downtime?
like a glass of wine? Hopefully you should get some
Yeah.
downtime.
I golf. I picked up golfing.
Oh,
so
ace.
18 holes. Yeah. I got a set of clubs now, and it's like I should have went golfing. I should have went to the range today. It's so beautiful.
Oh man.
But yeah, golf. And I also do medium work. So I have an online medium page
Yeah.
on Facebook, which is like huge and lots of work too. But I do that on my downtime.
I was going to mention that too. I seen you were getting quite popular on Facebook with your live streams.
We'll have to hit the
Yeah.
golf links next time you come on Six Nations. We'll shoot a little Harv and Jace thing, and
Yeah,
we'll go out and hit the
definitely.
links there. And
Ooh, I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would love that.
so yeah, we talked about pretty much everything I wanted to talk about, but there was something I wanted to ask you, and I don't know whether you want to talk about it or not, but just that we talked and mentioned a little bit about the Michelle Latimer controversy. Like,
Yeah.
as an Indigenous artist, very well, there's not that many spaces for Indigenous director, writer, producer, which you have all those credits, but for someone to come in and lose that position that we had, and all those indigenous actors are out of work now, and all those, that whole crew. Like, do you have any thoughts on that?
I think that yes, I have thoughts, I have opinions, but I just have to say that I think that there's so much more to that story than that we're privy to. I think there's so much more underneath in terms of legalities. Is that what the right word?
Right.
Yeah. And so, it should be the original IP should be, given back to the author. And I think that in an odd, weird way, with this happening, it's going to make changes, and it's already making changes for Indigenous people and content. So, trying to find the positive out of all of this. And it's really unfortunate because for myself, I was rooting for somebody like this. I was rooting that finally, but when it comes right down to it, and being upset that, Zoe Hopkins' movie is coming out. She's a brilliant filmmaker. And Michelle took up 2 spaces at TIFF.
Yep.
And I know for a fact I didn't get into TIFF. And maybe that's just the quality of I'm not sure, but 2 spaces where people who have these real stories, and I'm not saying that the stories aren't real, but I don't know. I could get into a crazy conversation about this. But it was a grief. Like, we had to grieve through this.
Right. One of the things that you mentioned was that now that one of the changes is now that we talked about this on a previous show, that they're going to start doing the
like a background
checks for people who are in those kinds of positions now,
to make sure they're credible, legitimate sources.
Yeah, two community member references, right? That said that they're from this community, their families from here and all that kind of stuff. So I think that is a good thing that comes out of it, like you said, a positive thing. But for me, I'm just upset. Like, as an Indigenous person, because Trickster got canceled, which was doing so well. It had so much support and so much funding. I think it had like $20 million allocated for the second season, and all those jobs lost. That story that Eden Robinson told so beautifully is now not being told. And for me, on all those aspects, it's a little bit disappointing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just me, though.
I understand that, but like I said, there's a lot of behind the scenes that will actually benefit them moving forward. But I also, I don't know too much on that. But
they should have just picked you up to carry it on.
Yeah, why not?
There's a lot of artists that they could have put in those positions. But I think now taking that $20 million and allocating it to those 8 other Indigenous projects that are waiting to be put forward would be a smart move too. And I, Eden is talented. She's going to write a lot more content, and, Monkey Beach is out there doing its thing. So yeah, I think that we can definitely pick up and move forward on this. Night Raiders is coming out. There's a lot of amazing things coming out. I'm so excited for the filmmakers that, are doing the work and getting recognized and getting out there. So
that's awesome. I really appreciate you sharing your opinions on that. I'm trying to ask anybody who's in the know, because we're just trying to get different opinions about it. And we're so excited that you joined us. We're so proud of you. And you were somebody that we've been talking about getting for a while, because not only you're from Six Nations.
Yeah, and we know you.
Yeah, how cool is that, dude? That's so cool. And now you're doing all these great things. And we wish you so much success. And I know Brother I Cry is just the beginning for you, Jessie. I just encourage you to just keep dreaming big, and because you're going to get there. You're going to have those big opportunities to make those big movies. And I really believe that with all the projects you got going on, man, you're going to build such a nice reputation. And if you ever need a leading man, call Jace or Harv.
Yeah, I'm here.
You can write us in, or we can be the host for your talent show or something.
Yeah, some villains or something.
We could be villains.
I have a comedy coming up, guys.
Nice.
And I want to say this. My dream is to make movies at home, and that's why I was so I love everything that's doing with her recent film. So yeah. Anyway, that's my thing, is I want to come home. I want to make films at home. It's just because it's the landscape, it's the people, it's the history, it's all of it. Yep. I can't get that anywhere else. So it is making jobs for our people in the industry,
Yep.
Yeah, and there's lots of talent in Six Nations, and we've always known that, it's just now finally people are, breaking down those doors, and now that those doors are broken down, other people are walking through them, and it's a beautiful thing. So
Yeah,
That's awesome.
seems like everything's fallen into
beautiful
place nicely. So
Well,
even with your show here, like when I saw you guys starting this up, I was like, that's exactly the thing we need to showcase artists.
because nobody knows.
Yeah, like,
we gotta get it out there
exactly.
somehow.
Like the regular media doesn't cover it, so me and Harv have to cover it, and we're gonna just like continue to do this because it's so important, like you said. So we just want to thank you again for joining us, Jesse. Taking
Yeah,
time
Nyawagoa.
out of your busy schedule. We would definitely love to have you back in the future. As your career progresses, and just know that the Harv and Jace show is cheering you on every step of the way. Thank you very much. Thanks, Jess.
Nyawa.
Nyawa.
Ona.
It's the Harv and Jace show.